Welcome back to episode 25 of Arcane Knowledge Intrigues Men Everywhere.
Yes, that's right. This is the fabled A.N.I.M.E podcast with your hosts, me and...
Me.
Indeed.
Back on the mic again.
For your listening pleasure.
Or displeasure.
I'm sure everyone's been,
dying,
waiting with bated breath to hear what we think about Spring 2018 anime.
Yep, after our fire top 10 that we started with.
Oh God, don't call things fire.
Okay, our cold.
What are you, 14? And on Twitter?
Yes. At least it wasn't an emoji. Like 3 fire emojis in a row, and then a couple 100s and crying, laughing face.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. What show do you want to start with?
Why don't we reveal what our special older show that we'll be talking about is? Because we've done that in the past with Evangelion, Space Dandy, Mob Psycho. I mean, a couple of those were pretty recent, but we're taking it back to the 90s with this one.
Which is Gundam 08th MS Team.
Yeah. Both of us, the only exposure that we've had to the Gundam franchise is...
Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Yeah, which was penned by Mario Kata, the same woman who is heading up the scripts for Hisone to Maso-tan, which we're also watching. So yeah, that's Iron-Blooded Orphans. That's the only Gundam that I've seen. I think I haven't seen like War in the Pocket or the original. I'm more of a Macross guy. And I know I think the only Gundam you've seen is
yeah, it's like the first half of Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Okay, I made it all the way through the first season and into the second. But as far as I understand it, that's like an AU. That's not Universal Century Gundam, which is the main timeline that branches off from the original series, like the late 70s series.
Okay.
And this 08th MS Team takes place during the 1 year war that is detailed in that.
In the original work.
Yeah,
in 79.
In the UC.
UC 0079.
Stands for like Universal Century. Did I say that already?
Yes.
Okay. So we're jumping in, and I'm sure that autistic Gundam fans everywhere are like,
is there like
screeching
an official,
their heads off?
The wiki has an official watch order or something, and you have to watch certain episodes out of order, probably.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I just know that a lot of Gundam fans are like big purists. You're supposed to watch everything and probably in a certain order, and that people have their opinions about what's better, like the Universal Century stuff, the AU stuff. I don't really care about any of that, though.
I just care about good TV.
I don't even care about that because I'm watching anime.
Care about good anime.
I don't even care about that.
Care about anime.
Because there isn't any. It's all trash.
It's all terrible, and that's why we're here to tell you your opinions are wrong and you should feel bad.
How trash were these first 2 episodes, in your opinion?
How trash on a scale of...
It doesn't matter.
Darling in the Franxx to Space Dandy?
Yeah, where they fall on that spectrum.
I don't know. Naruto?
That's really bad.
No. I really enjoyed these episodes. I thought they were really good.
Okay. Tell me more. I'm intrigued.
I like the way cell shows look. They have this sort of aliveness to them, which obviously makes sense just because of how they're drawn.
How are they drawn?
Well, they're drawn.
Tell me about how cell animation is created, and produced.
They're drawn on individual cells, and then those cells are put on top of the backgrounds that are painted generally by hand, or actually exclusively by hand then. And then you took a picture of each one, and printed that to film.
That's right.
It released originally when it was on film. It was slightly digitized by the late 90s, but all the computer was doing was just putting one frame after the next. It wasn't doing anything else.
I guess, yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm sure that's an oversimplification, and somebody can correct me.
The TV anime industry went digital around the turn of the century. But digital, they were using computers to aid animation in the 90s. maybe even the late 80s if you count like one or two projects that history has mostly forgotten. But like the Ghost in the Shell movie from 95 and in Princess Mononoke in 97, that was when
I remember the monster was
the tentacles.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was computer assisted.
Yeah, that was the film where Miyazaki broke down and was like, okay, fine, you can use your newfangled computers to help with my A.N.I.M.E film.
And then he never did it again until he absolutely had
That's
to.
definitely not true, man. Spirited Away, there was some computer assistance there. You remember the scene? We're not supposed to be talking about this. We're supposed to be talking about Gundam.
Yep.
And you like these episodes? Okay, yeah, I think I did too. I enjoyed them, although not everything is completely clear as you're watching, especially because I haven't seen the original series, so I'm sure there are like little things I'm missing. References to characters from the, the main story.
Right, or the state of the war or anything like that.
Like in episode 2 when Aina, the girl with like that greenish hair, and her brother are sitting on the couch talking about his big dream of making like a super invincible robot to win the war.
Right.
And then the camera pans up to a painting above their heads of some guy.
Like their dad or his brother or something.
Yeah, I kind of assumed he was a family member, but I mean,
we have no way of knowing.
Yeah, and if I had to guess, I'd say he was probably like a significant figure maybe in the original series.
Yeah. Maybe the leader of the Zeke. Since I can't remember the correct name of their empire.
Yeah, it's Zeon.
That's right.
They're part of the Principality of Zeon. Zeke is like the slang term that FEDIs,
which is the
from the
slang
Earth
term
Federation.
for Federation.
Yeah, that's what they call them. So I kind of like that about the series is that both is like the use of those slang terms and the environments, like especially in the site, I guess what would you call it?
Base camp.
Yeah, the base camp. Thank you. Where the 08th team is set up.
Well, that's where the entire team is. The 8th division of the MS team.
Yeah, I'm a little perplexed as to what the 8th division is comprised of. Is it just those 5 mecha pilots, or is it all everyone else that we saw who belongs to the 08th team? Are they just mechanics and stuff?
Well, there's the three mecha pilots. There is the team killer.
Yeah, Sanders.
There's the ensign.
Ensign, I think is how you say that.
Ensign.
His name is Shiro. He's the main character.
And then there's red hair.
Karen.
I'm really bad with names.
Karen Joshua, I think is her name. She's got 2 first names, so you can't trust her.
Right. And then we have our radar support dudes.
Yeah, I completely. Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about.
And then everyone else is support for those 5.
No, wasn't the other guy also a pilot?
Which one?
The guy with the super 90s anime blonde hair, who in the first episode was like...
He thought he was going to be a pilot, but he was assisting crazy guitar solo guy.
No, crazy guitar solo guy is the guy I'm talking about. You didn't list him as one of the 3 pilots. No, Isn't he a pilot?
He wasn't piloting a Gundam then.
No, he wasn't.
Mobile suit.
He wasn't piloting a mobile suit, but he was piloting something.
Yeah,
that little.
It was like a radar truck.
Yeah, the mobile comm system.
Yeah, so he's part of their team. I was including both of those guys. I said the radar team. I meant both of them. I just didn't list them individually.
Yeah,
it's green hair and guitar solo.
No, he had blonde hair.
I know that's green guitar hair. Solo. Green hair was the other one who was also in the same machine.
That guy has green hair? No, he doesn't.
Isn't that what you just said?
No, he has brown hair. Green hair is Aina.
Oh.
The Zeon girl.
Right.
That we see in the first episode. I mean, that's the big setup is like
star-crossed lovers.
Yeah. But how do they both get into that thing again? Why does he go out in the ball?
To assist Team Kill.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Who's
Sanders is out there on a mission. And he goes out, Shiro, our main character, who's like a teenage captain all of a sudden of his own squad. I don't really understand that. Maybe he's...
My guess is it had to do with there's probably like monarchies or dynasties. Just because I remember from Iron Blooded Orphans, which as you said is AU.
Yeah, it's
or
alternate
like
universe.
alternate universe. But there seem to be monarchies or like kings and queens. So it's possible he's of royal blood, and then he gets special training.
But
And
wouldn't you assume that in the first 2 episodes of this 12-episode OVA that detail would be dropped? Like, there would be guys at the base camp, kind of muttering to themselves like, "Oh yeah, he's just like a little daddy's boy or something."
I think it's assumed that you've seen the 79. I think it's assumed that you know something about the universe already.
Yeah, it did occur to me that he might have like a famous dad or mom or something, and that's why he's getting this kind of preferential treatment and why he's above everyone else, even though he's just a kid. But it's also built into the way Gundam works and a lot of mecha shows work is the kid just pilots the robot. Why is that?
Get in the robot, Shinji.
I don't know. Just kid in robot. It'll sell millions. So maybe you're just supposed to take it for granted or not supposed to think about it too hard or something along those lines. But like a kid, I mean, he does have to prove himself.
Right, especially because this is the first time he's ever fought on the ground in a mobile suit.
Yeah, he keeps talking about how hot it is on Earth, like how humid. And he goes into that little swamp and there are leeches on him. And he's like, "What are these?" And then later when he's kind of in the shrubbery or the foliage, and he's waiting for an enemy suit to get an enemy mobile suit to get close enough to him. Or is it a tank?
It's a mobile suit. The singular.
I know. It's got the little eye.
Singular eye. Yeah.
But the way its eye works kind of makes me feel as though it's automated. Like it doesn't have a pilot inside.
It does. Because you see both pilots get out.
What? I'm talking about at the end of episode 2.
Oh, okay. But I mean, you see a pilot get out of one of them at some point.
Okay.
They do have pilots.
He's speaking of how he's not accustomed to like
gravity.
Yeah, well, the Earth's climate or the kind of wildlife that you can find there. He's like he's behind all those plants and he's waiting for the ship to get close enough to him, and then some birds fly by and he turns his cannon or his gun to train on them. Yeah, like he doesn't understand what a bird is. And he's so freaked out by their call that he's like, "Oh my God."
He just sees movement and thinks, that's obviously something I should pay attention to.
I kind of got the sense from that scene that it was more than just hearing something or seeing something. Like he was weirded out by
I thought it was more to do with nerves.
Well, he was definitely nervous.
Because this is probably his first real battle besides the ball.
And in his first real battle, he's kind of abandoned by his squad.
He goes off on his own. He just like runs off into the distance.
Yeah. So that's obviously stupid. But everyone seems to like let him go, like Karen and the blonde guy specifically.
Yeah. Well,
they're like, "Oh, whatever."
Yeah. They don't like him.
I guess. I kind of feel like the 08th division is, they're kind of like a joke or something,
maybe
to everybody else, because they're all kind of laughing at like having a laugh at Karen's expense in that one scene. All the guys at the base camp, they're like, "Oh, what's the matter? Did your new captain, did he flame out already? You should have gone easier on him. Ha ha ha."
Maybe. Don't know.
Like they're constantly losing people or.
I don't know. I mean, we don't know too much about the team at this point,
right?
Because we've pretty much all just met them.
That's the sense that I get. I think.
Okay.
Is that Shiro is kind of being thrown to the wolves. That's a pun because Shiro means wolf in Japanese. I am so smart. Everyone, look at me.
I am looking. I'm not impressed. Classic Burns.
I kind of feel as though he's been put in this position. He's kind of being discarded or like shoved off to the side, put in charge of a division that really doesn't matter too much.
I got more of a sense that it's their first real mission as a group. He runs off on his own, and Karen and Sanders just write him off, or Karen more than Sanders kind of just write him off as he's not going to be any use to us. Just let him go off and die on his own. It's better him than us.
Yeah.
Although Sanders
seems to have some of his hopes pinned on him, like at the end of the first episode.
Yeah, Sanders also says that he owes him a debt because he saved his life.
Yeah. And he also thinks that, this kid might be, what does he say at the end of episode 1? Because he's known as like the team killer and the Shinigami, like the Death Reaper, probably because the squads that he's on, everyone ends up dead or something.
Or maybe he killed someone by accident.
I think it's more likely that he's just seen as bad luck.
Everyone, yeah, that's
but
a good point.
He says at the end of the first episode that this kid might be my ticket to like restoring my position or
honor,
reputation. Yeah, maybe he says honor. That might be closer to the intended purpose of the scene. So we've mostly talked about episode 2. I think that's because we watched episode 1 together and didn't take any sort of notes.
Right.
And that was like yesterday or 2 days ago. It's hard to remember this stuff, man.
I remember episode
Give me a
1.
break.
Episode 1 was essentially the 08th team and a couple of other people are flying in to Earth.
Right.
Which none of them have ever seen before, apparently. And they see Sanders fighting 2 or 3 Zeeks.
Yeah, something like that.
But his mobile suit's damaged. So
yeah. Shiro goes out, saves him. He and Aina get trapped in the thingy.
They get trapped in an old spaceship.
Yeah.
And they have to hunt around to survive.
They cause an explosion.
Yeah, they set off a missile that blows the whole thing up.
Yeah. That's right. And he gets her like watch or her timepiece, her necklace.
Fancy watch.
Yeah, which keeps beeping. And I think that the beeps are probably like a timer so she can give her medicine to her brother.
Yes, that is correct.
In that scene, she was like, it's time for your medicine.
They happen at the exact same. It goes from that immediately to the thing going off. So that's pretty easy inference.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, episode 1 didn't have too much to talk about because we really only had...
It felt like more of a prequel.
Yeah.
It showed our main character on his way to the setting where the rest of the series will be taking place, and it established some kind of connection between him and Aina, who are like it's a Romeo and Juliet thing. They're on opposite sides of the war, and it looks pretty good.
The Montagues and the Capulets.
I would not have been able to tell you what the families were in Romeo and Juliet.
I don't know how I remember, but I did.
Well done.
And there's also native people to the
we don't care about them
jungles
though.
of Japan.
Let's just kick them out.
Nope, just kick out the nakeds.
The nakeds? The natives.
Yeah, the naked girl that he runs into.
The redhead?
Yeah.
Do you think she's native?
I think so.
Okay, you don't think that she's a Zeke?
No.
Or part of Zeon? I guess not. I thought she was at first, but then it struck me as strange that she would be so accepting of Shiro taking out one of her comrades.
Right.
So I guess maybe she's like part of the indigenous population of Earth, and everybody else, all their fighting is just
noise.
Well, they've come in afterwards, so it's not as though either of them has a claim. Yeah,
they're imperialists.
I didn't think about that. Probably because I don't know that much. I don't know my Gundam history.
Neither do I.
All right, that's a lot of time spent talking about a series that's not even a spring 2018 series. Who cares?
Right, let's get on to something that really matters. My Hero Academia.
Let's do it. It's episode 41, third episode of the new season. And
training day begins and ends very quickly.
Yeah, we were promised at the end of the last episode there was going to be some intense training of like the quirk of your quirks specifically. We're going to train your quirks. So then we get a montage at the start of the episode. And the way that they train their quirks is mostly
just use them.
Just like use your quirk a lot.
Yeah.
Just use it a lot.
I mean, it makes sense.
It does, but it's not particularly imaginative.
No.
And that's something that you might expect from a series like this is for like, the training arcs or the tournament arcs or, all those little special all the specialties of a series like this.
Of a shonen.
Yeah, for them to be like particularly for them to stand out.
I think that's one way of looking at it, and I think another way of looking at it is that this makes sense. They could have done something, really imaginative that might not have made that much sense in the context of the world.
None of this makes sense, man. You got people whose quirks are super strength and like shooting fire. Okay.
And being a frog.
Then you have somebody's quirk. Oh yeah, I can look at up to 100 people and learn everything about them, including their strengths and weaknesses. That's one of the quirks of the
cat
one
people.
of the 4 Wild Pussycats members.
Oh, that's what they're called.
Yeah. They said that in the last episode again in this one because they always do their little pose, like their
and
Team
now we've
Rocket
got
pose.
the fourth person now, the dude.
I think 2 of them were introduced this time because it was just the 2 girls.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the strengths and weaknesses and the dude with like super strength.
Is that all he?
I think so.
Okay, I just can't. I can't keep track of everyone's superpower, man. Or their quirk. It's too hard.
They put it on screen literally every time.
I know, but
except for the 10 villains that just showed up. Those we don't know anything about them.
Well, we know a little about one of them. I wrote their names. Dobby is the guy who kind of has like dead skin or like really bruised looking skin stapled to his face and to other parts of his body. He was like touching a tree
and setting it on fire.
Yeah, but also what he was actually doing was spreading like poison gas. So he probably manipulates the...
I don't think that was it. I think that was the dude wearing the gas mask.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. But then what was Dobby doing? Why was he...
If you set a fire, you build a perimeter or a wall people can't pass.
I didn't get the sense from the big overhead shot of the forest that that's what he was doing. Maybe that was a way of like spreading the gas using the fire.
Oh, it could create wind, so it would move it around.
Or smoke that would all like get tangled up together maybe. Yeah, it makes more sense for the gas mask guy. I kind of remember him. He had like a green outfit.
Yep.
Or something.
Green gas mask with red eyes.
Yeah.
Red eyes are a staple of every villain character.
Yeah. Red, it's evil. It means like blood and stop.
Death.
And stop.
Yes, it does.
Like stop being evil. You villains, just stop it.
It's time to stop.
In addition to Dobby's name, I got Himiko Toga. I don't know whether you would refer to her as Himiko or Toga. I'm always a little perplexed as to...
Oh, the weird girl who drains people's blood?
Is that what she does?
Mm-hmm. Well, you see her do it once, like in an alleyway to someone. They like shrivel up.
Probably in the second season.
Yeah, you do.
It's been a while since I saw that, but she's the one with she's got that weird voice and she's like really like
deranged.
Yeah, and like really energetic, and she's got the blonde hair.
Genki.
Yeah.
The bad kind.
Genki evil girl. Yeah, so we know a couple of their names. And I'm glad that they're already... I was happy that they're already like springing into action in this episode.
Rather than them training for like 6 episodes and then them coming in.
Yeah. I just want the story to, like move on. And to its credit, I think Hero Academia does a better job of a lot of series
pacing
in its genre with that sort of thing. It generally keeps things moving. A big exception being, for me, the second half of the first season, when they were in that little dome with all the different training areas and the villains attacked. That to me felt like it was just going on forever. Just wanted to, gouge my eyes out. Not really.
I can understand that,
but really.
They had a lot of, they built all those different environments, so they're like, well, we'll just show everyone. Everyone gets their own half episode.
Yeah, it was fine. But as for season 3, which is airing now in this episode, yeah, I think it's nice that the villains are already springing into action.
First episode, they get to the training camp. Second episode, I'm excluding
the
episode
recap.
39. Yeah. First episode, get to the training camp. Second episode, start training, villains show up.
Yeah, it's good.
Didn't spend much time there.
No. I mean, hopefully the conflict with the villains is dealt with in one, like 1 or 2 more installments. And then they get, I don't know, All Might will probably show up to save the day. Because you don't think he's going to show up because he hasn't been given the location of the camp. so and so Eraser. Is his name Eraser?
Eraserhead.
Eraserhead, yeah. He talks about how not everyone has been given the location of the camp
To keep it secret.
Yeah. So we think that All Might doesn't know, but I imagine he'll show up. If not, then that's great.
He can jump across the city. I think he can figure out where something is.
I guess.
Or maybe he's really...
just from high up in the air.
Yeah. Maybe he's just really dumb. I don't know.
Maybe.
We don't ever really see like his intelligence. He kind of just punches everything and it explodes.
And Justice. Don't forget Justice.
And Plus Ultra.
And Midoriya Shonen.
Midoriya Shonen.
Yeah, don't forget that. It was so strange how the catchphrase Plus Ultra was worked into this episode with one of the guys from the Pussycats who was training with Deku specifically.
Yeah.
He was like, let me hear you Plus Ultra, let me hear you. It was like he was directly talking to whoever was watching the episode like, oh yeah, you know that catchphrase? You like that? You like that catchphrase? Here it is.
I don't think so. I think it would make sense for strength-based heroes to look up to the strongest hero. People who are entirely physical to look up to the guy who can level cities with a punch.
Yeah, but you're talking about...
that would be their...
But you're talking about All Might.
Right. Yeah.
So then why is the Pussycats guy like...
Because he's a strength-based hero. So that would be like his catchphrase. And so is Deku.
Yeah, I guess. That makes sense.
So that, it could be like just a motivational thing.
Yeah, but...
You're like, just do it.
No, yeah, I guess that's the just do. I mean, the two things are kind of similar, right? It's like an unthinking war cry. You just say Plus Ultra. You just
do it.
You just go beyond. Just Plus Ultra, man. It's cool. Just Plus Ultra. It's true that everybody probably, even though not everybody knows about the connection between Deku and All Might, they spend any time around Deku, they recognize that their powers are similar,
Yeah, they both punch things.
Right. Yeah. That's a staple of this type of anime, punching. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of punching and explosions and fire and ice and really good looking stuff.
But there's poison gas too, so hopefully I would like to see some people die, but it's not. I know you
really hated the little kid who hates.
Yeah, I don't like him.
The kid who hates quirks. I have a theory that he has one though.
What? Okay, let me ask you something about his scene in particular. I don't care about all the stuff where Deku walks up to him and he's just like,
you can hate all these people if you did. You just close off your.
I don't care about
their
dialogue. But at the end of that scene, it's the camera's looking at the whatever his name is. I forget. Kota or something.
Kota.
And then the camera moves over to the face of the cliff, I guess. And there's
a crater in it.
Yeah. And then the very next scene is the villains. So what is the implication of that crater? Last week you speculated the kid was going to lead the villains to the camp. So was a crater like a marking?
I don't know if it was marking, but I don't think that he told the villains where they are. I think he has a quirk though.
Okay, so then what's the significance of the crater? Does it have to do with his quirk?
Yeah, it has to do with that he has one at all. Why else would it be there next to his secret hideout? I don't know. Maybe his hat is actually part of his head, and he has horns, and he turns into a bull and runs into things.
Yeah, the horns on his head are really goofy. It would make sense if they had to do with him, who he is, like genetically. His superpower.
Because both of his parents were like water-based heroes or something.
Yeah, I missed that. I know Deku knew who his parents were, and he was inappropriately geeking out. Like, oh my God,
your parents are dead? Dude, mine too.
No, his parents aren't dead. His mom is.
I know.
His mom, his fat old mom is.
What is his mom's quirk again?
She doesn't have one.
No, she does. His mom and his dad both have quirks.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. But he was quirkless.
Oh, I don't remember what
she
her
can
quirk
levitate
is
small objects. I think
I remember
that's her
that.
power.
I think I remember that. Yeah. Apologies to all freakishly obsessed Boku no Hero Academia fans listening.
Now airing at 11:30 on Toonami.
Yeah, that's going to be a big deal for this show. It's going to get even more, attention than it already is.
Yeah.
Goody for them. I'm glad the villain showed up.
I think we covered pretty much everything in this episode.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there was a lot of, Bakugo yelling and
just screaming and explosions.
Yeah, and Ida, there's a little running gag of Ida being like, "Oh, Sasuga Yue." He's really impressed with everything that's going on because he thinks all of it is part of the lesson that the academy wants to teach them, but in fact, none of it is.
Yeah.
They're all, this is nice.
Nicey good.
Ida's probably my favorite.
Really?
I think he's my favorite character, yeah.
Is it because he's tragic because of his brother, or...
His brother's still alive, right?
Yeah, he's just not going to be able to move ever again.
Yeah, well, that's not true, right? He just won't have the use of his legs, so he can't continue
he was paralyzed from the waist down.
He can't continue to be... I can't remember his hero name.
Oh,
It's like Delphinium or something.
It's not Is it Delphinium?
No, Delphinium is the name of one of the mechas in Darling in the Franxx.
Oh, that's right. It's gonna kill me.
Yeah. Well, we'll just figure it out later.
Back to it.
All right. We want to move on to another series.
Sure. What do you want to talk about now?
I don't know. You pick.
Hinamatsuri?
Sure. I like this show.
I do too. I very much enjoy it.
Why do you enjoy it so much? Tell me.
I especially liked episode 3. But we'll go in order, I suppose.
We don't have to.
Yeah, I guess. It's endearing.
Yeah.
It's just like just a cute show, but not in the way that I expect most animes to be cute.
Animes,
sorry. I know I get that wrong every once in a while. I know anime is plural.
I think it's endearing because the relationships between adults and kids are really nice in this show. Like between Anzu and the homeless people in episode 3, between Hina and Nita, in their apartment or whatever, their life together. And I guess between Hitomi and the adults at the bar. She's the girl who is forcibly made to be a bartender.
Yep.
Blackmailed into it.
But she's making $15 an hour plus tips.
$15 an hour. That's right. Incredible.
That's good for a middle schooler. That's good. That's good for someone my age.
That might be good for the average bartender, honestly, because don't you think they probably make less than minimum wage plus tips? They mostly live off their tips.
Probably.
Yeah. So she's making bank, assuming that they're tipping well. And I mean, Yakuza are frequenting that bar, so they've got cash.
I mean, she also mentions at some point that her bank account is filling up freakishly fast, as she said.
Yeah. It wasn't her bank account. It was like her bank book. So her ledger, I guess, or her records.
Yeah.
But it's the same implication.
She's making a lot of money.
Yeah.
More than most middle schoolers would probably know what to do with.
Right. But she's, as we learned from her little slice of episode 3, she kind of introduces herself, and that's the way the episode's formatted, at least at the start. And she talks about how I don't mean to brag, but I'm very bookish, and I'm one of the smartest in my class. So
and now I've got but a nightlife as a bartender.
So she probably has some idea of what to do with the money, like save it,
Save it.
At least I hope so.
For whatever.
I hope she's not blowing it on drugs.
It'll be bad. Drugs are bad. Okay.
Yeah, I do think that it's a nice show. It has some sentimentality to it that I feel is good and not, it doesn't make me want to curl up into a ball and die because it's so sugary sweet. It just is a nice mix of comedy and
episode 2 was
sentiment.
was a focus on that because Nita had been essentially just feeling like his status as a player, as a baller had been.
Wait, was that not episode 3?
No,
that was episode 2. Okay, yeah. He can't get with women.
Yeah,
because of the rumor.
Because you're spending time with your daughter,
right?
I'm going out.
Yeah, he starts neglecting her, and then she
Have some mackerel. This is good.
Yeah. I guess she just likes seafood in general because she likes canned mackerel, and she also likes salmon roe, salmon eggs. That's what those little orange globules or whatever they're called. The little
Instead of
orange
spicy
eggs.
pollock roe.
Right. Yeah. Same idea. Fish eggs.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sad I was sad when he did that, like, because they had such a nice little thing going after the premiere episode, and he was neglecting her. She was just like eating food out of a can and watching TV. And then I think she says to Anzu at one point, the TV told me that when you're following someone, you should bring backup. Like, she's being raised by television. She's learning all her lessons from the idiot
TV
box.
never came home drunk. TV never forgot me at a baseball game.
Was it a baseball game or a petting zoo?
Petting zoo.
It was
That's
petting
right.
zoo
Petting zoo.
in Community. Yeah. That's not anime.
Nope. Although one of the episodes in Community is animated.
That's true. Season 3, episode 9.
Season 5, episode 11.
And the claymation one, whichever one that was.
Yeah, several. Anyways. Off topic.
Yes, it was. Why don't you rectify your mistake?
Rectify my mistake. Yeah, and it's, you can learn valuable lessons from television, but it's not the way to raise someone who was obviously never really raised by a parent before.
Well, how do you know that? We don't know anything about her. She's some kind of alien psychic.
No, we don't, but we do know at some point that she's only used to ever really getting orders, or she doesn't really have any, parental care as far as we can tell. And when she meets Anzu in the second episode, Anzu's amazed by the fact that she can even speak. He's like, oh, you're talking now.
That's true. I remember. Yeah, I do remember that. Oh, I remember that.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember. I remember. Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it in that way, I guess. I mean, why do you think it was so difficult for Hina to talk, or why she wouldn't talk? Was she some kind of child soldier like Violet Evergarden Desu?
I think so.
I mean, it makes sense because she is super powerful. In that little contest of made you look, I guess would be what you would call it in English. I don't think it was translated that way, but crunchy subs are ass. In that game of like psychic powered made you look,
she like snaps her neck and then blows over like the entire the river and blows up the retaining wall on the other side.
Yeah, so we know Hina's way more powerful than Anzu and probably everybody else. She's some sort of fighter,
Level up.
Yeah, so maybe that's part of her character is that she never really had a mother or a father, or I don't know, maybe their species doesn't even reproduce the same way that ours does. We don't know anything about. I don't think we know anything about their.
They look the same
as humans. Yeah, that's true, but we don't know anything about their culture.
No.
So yeah, I mean, it makes sense that Nita would be like the first parental figure she'd ever had, regardless of what their deal is on her planet. And it's a good show. Good show. Quite.
We didn't talk about too much about Anzu and the homeless people.
Yeah, that was. I liked that episode a lot I think for the same reasons that I like all the Hina Nita stuff, because it's they're teaching her valuable lessons. Yeah, but it's not like a moral of the week.
You always do seem to like when children are well characterized or characterized like children.
Yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily what's going on in
because they have superpowers.
Yeah.
So that does make them a little.
It's less that they're kids, although they are small. Who knows how old they are or what amount of life experience they have, what stage of life they're in.
Right.
Man, I'm really pushing this alien thing. It's less about the fact that they're small and they look like kids, and more about it's more of a story about teaching I guess like an immigrant, you know, or somebody who's new to the area or new to your culture, teaching them about how to survive, you know,
how to survive and how to
relate, you know, because he tells her she gets all the money from collecting the cans, and even money is a foreign concept to her at that point. But then he instructs her to use it to buy sake. Yeah. To endear herself to all the guys who she's going to be living with. So he's teaching her like social lessons.
I mean, and he pays the difference, which ends up being like 1,400 yen or something.
Gasp. Might be a lot of money.
$14.
Well, how much did they get for the cans? Like 700 or
$6.90.
Yeah.
So like $7.
Yeah. So that's 2 days work. The difference that he paid to get the alcohol.
Yeah. In order to try to get everyone to like her.
Yeah.
And she ends up singing that awful song, and it has all the...
It reminded them of their granddaughters
who are also like terrible at singing or trying to endear people.
I guess.
Or maybe just how kids do embarrassing things.
Yeah, probably more that. I was a little surprised by that scene. Like, I wouldn't expect her terrible singing to make everyone come around on her presence in their camp. I wasn't quite sure that worked for me.
I think it did because, you know, I don't want to speak too much like I know this, but and I know in Japanese culture, elders are held in high regard or well respected, and so you would imagine that, you know, those who are elderly and homeless, you know, something had to, you know, go wrong with their life. You know, they wronged their family or fallen under some terrible circumstances. And so they may not have seen, you know, their grandchildren for years and years. And even they might not get any sort of, you know, reminder or even think about their grandchildren. And it could be like the first time in, you know, years they've even thought of them, and it could move them.
Yeah. I get that. It didn't go over well with me, but you know, maybe like in 40 years, if I rewatch that scene, I'll be like, my granddaughter.
That assumes you even have children.
It does. I mean, if I keep watching cartoons at this rate, I probably never will, but maybe I'll speculate. Maybe I'll speculate about the granddaughter that could have been.
That's true.
I could have had children and grandchildren, but instead I just watched anime all day. Go outside, kids.
Yeah. I also did like the kid, I can't remember her name, but the kid who was a bartender running into her homeroom teacher.
Yeah.
And her homeroom teacher like challenging her.
A lot of weird faces in this show. The weird faces getting made during the psychic made you look battle in episode 2, and then in her little story where she's trying to disguise herself from her middle school homeroom teacher, pulling a weird face.
But they can't.
So wacky.
Neither of them can, you know, officially recognize the other because it puts both of them in a bad spot.
Yeah. Mutually assured destruction. I'm about done talking about Hinamatsuri. It's a good show. I like Studio Feel. That's the studio that's working on this. They did one of my favorite shows from last year.
Feel good, man.
Yeah. I like the series.
Cool. Yeah, me too.
Next show.
Megalo Box.
Okay. This one's pretty good too, man.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Can't deny it. Although I will say that the fact that the show is downscaled and then re-upscaled to get that look that it has, it bothered me a lot more in the second and the third episode.
It bothered me less.
Huh, okay. I mean, I guess there's really no explaining that. That's just the way it is.
That's just how it is, yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
I'll quietly suffer over here. Apart from that, and apart from like bits of episode 3, I felt like episode 3 moved too fast, especially the fight at the very end. Like the way that I can't remember his partner's name.
Who?
Joe's partner.
Joe's partner? Oh, yeah. It's...
Did you write it down?
Yeah, I did.
Nice. Is it Nanbu right there?
Yeah, Nanbu.
Yeah, the way that Nanbu is like out of nowhere, suddenly he's tinkering with the equipment and then it goes on the fritz. And then they're like, oh, hurry, we gotta put the equipment on for the fight. And then he gets in the fight with the big, I wrote that guy's name down, Potemkin.
I just remember him as number 96.
That's right. He was formerly ranked 96th on the ladder that Joe is eventually going to have to ascend to get to the number 1 spot and enter the final bracket. In Megalonia, I just remember his suit suddenly malfunctioning. That just seemed to happen really, really quickly. And then the kid has to take like a pickaxe to it or something to shut it down, and
so that it doesn't fry him.
And then he like gets right back up and he delivers the final blow. It just all came a little bit too quick for me. Probably because the episode had to dedicate a bunch of time to introducing those kids in the first place.
Yeah. They had their little sneak thievery and got some, I'm assuming, drugs.
No, there were cameras.
Yeah. The sneak thievery that they traded for drugs.
Oh, they traded the cameras. Yeah, I got the sense that at first that those little red candies were drugs, because there's a little line thrown in there about how they take all your troubles away. So these little kids are like doing hard drugs that taste like little red strawberry flavored candy or something.
Or maybe it's just that it's such a rare occurrence that something sweet to eat is the equivalent of doing drugs. I mean, sugar's like a drug for little kids.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but in the end, I don't think we were. I mean, it makes way more sense to me that they would have some narcotic properties or some, that the kids would be hooked on them. I mean, yeah, yesterday was 420.
Blaze it.
Indeed. But I think in the end, we were just supposed to view the pawn shop guy as like an asshole who ripped off the kids. Because that's what the kid said. Sachio, was he the main kid? He comes back and he steals the suit. And then he says, I was just taking what I was due because you ripped me off. In exchange for all those cameras, we only got that little bit of candy. So
he also said that he paid him basically nothing for that like prototype suit.
Who paid who nothing?
The pawn shop dude. Those kids stole that suit.
I know, but where's the payment enter into the equation? What are you talking about?
Sachio said at some point, you paid us nowhere near what that thing was worth.
Paid who? Oh, were the kids the one who brought it in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I think when he said you paid us next to nothing, he was referring to the deal, the cameras for the candy.
I'm almost positive that he was referring to when they brought the suit in as well. Okay. It's like, it's mine, it's
right. You didn't pay me what it was worth.
What that was worth.
So either way, he's, the guy's a scumbag, I guess. He also pulls a knife out to threaten the kid
yeah.
in like their first interaction that we see. So a lot of time is spent on bringing the kids in. And you just know that the reason that they're being introduced is so they can be like the cheering squad for Joe. So that in the future when he's fighting.
And Joe's coach and mechanic at the same time.
Yeah. Like when in the next episode when he fights against that guy who
Shark dude.
Yeah.
Shark boy and lava girl.
What was I gonna say? I forgot. That Spy Kids reference just blew me back. Oh yeah. When like in the next episode when he fights against that guy, the shark guy who plays dirty, that's like his big thing.
Yeah, he's big.
The shark guy's probably gonna hit him. Like he's gonna hit him dirty, a blow when the ref's not looking or some angle where he can't see. Then Joe's gonna go down and the kids are all gonna be like, "No, get up, Joe! You can do it! I believe in you!" And then he's gonna hear their voice and he's gonna get up and.
Is that what you think?
I mean, that's classic boxing. That's like a classic boxing trope.
That's a classic anything trope.
Yeah, I guess. Like the little kid.
The woman screaming for someone to get up. The kid screaming. The fans. The X. When people start shouting mango, mango. When he's down 2 stocks.
And he loses anyway because
he's a buster.
Or just because people are better than him.
Mostly just because he's a buster.
Okay.
But yeah, it's classic fighting anything.
Yeah. But I mean, I was okay with the kids. I mean, I thought I like the way that they look kind of like cartoony, like the one great big fat guy, and they've got hair down over their eyes and they're like a bunch of street dogs, the same way that Joe is.
Yeah.
I like their character designs, and I understand what role they'll play in the story, just as like a cheering squad, and somebody for Joe to inspire. But that's all. I mean, that's all they're gonna be. I can't see. We do see the kid's family, the photo.
Yeah, very briefly
taped inside of his hat. So maybe we will get something else about Sachio in particular.
I also think that those kids, because of their knack for like thievery or stealing information, that they're gonna be, instrumental in how Joe's able to defeat a lot of his opponents.
So you think they're gonna like scout out his opponents? So his opponents, I guess we should talk about that.
Well, in episode 2, it was the number one dude.
Yuri. Yeah.
He fought Yuri.
And Yuri tries to fight him with just one hand. That doesn't work out. Joe's a little too, or Junk Dog at that point is a little too skilled for that. So he uses his other hand and he just completely destroys him. So obviously that's the impetus for the entire journey that Joe's about to go on. He wants to fight Yuri. And we know that Yuri's already entered in the 4-man bracket.
He's the number one, so
yeah, automatically
entered.
So Nanbu, he's going to set up 5 fights for Joe. The whole reason that he's in on this is because it's his chance to pay off his debt to the organized crime boss.
And the reason it's his chance is because Joe was at the time, Junk Dog was supposed to throw another fight, and he one-punched the guy out. He just knocked out in the first round, the first punch.
Yeah.
He was supposed to take a dive in the 5th round.
Yeah, thankfully that happened in the 2nd episode and not the 1st. Give us a little time before he came around to the idea of, okay, I'm going to fight seriously now. Instead of that happening right away and the show being like, oh my God, we only have 12 episodes. Let's hurry up. Get the story in gear. And then just spin its wheels.
Not when I shift into maximum overdrive. Yeah! I knew I should have gotten the turbo.
Okay. Lost my train of thought again.
A little piece of animation history right there.
Is it?
I think so.
But what were we saying?
We were talking about how you liked that Junk Dog didn't just BTFO his first opponent, how it actually took till the 2nd episode.
Yeah, so Nanbu's deal is he needs to pay back his gambling debt to the guy. So apparently that's how he lost his eye.
The snake boss.
Yeah, the guy with the crime boss with the snake tattoo in theaters everywhere.
And the heart of gold.
No, I don't think that guy's a heart of gold.
No, but
he just wants to see if he can profit from
he will.
Nanbu and Junk Dog.
But their agreement isn't he doesn't have to win. He just has to place in the top 4.
Well, yeah, he does say that at one point. He just wants him to be in that final bracket. And the reason he's able to compete is because they forge that ID for him. He chooses the name Joe. It's a reference to Ashita no Joe, which this is the 50th anniversary tribute to whatever the preposition is there.
Okay. I had a feeling it was a reference. I just didn't know what it was.
In that show, I mean, Joe's ultimate fate is kind of ambiguous, but most people suspect that he dies. And in this show, the titles of all the episodes underline the word like dead or die. Like episode 2, I think the title was "The Man Only Dies Once," and the word "die" was underlined.
The 3rd one had to do with gear.
No, it had to do with death.
Oh, I mean, but like the death of his gear or something.
I don't remember exactly what it was.
I don't either. I do have a theory.
It was like not dead yet or something.
Yeah.
What's your theory?
My theory is that he's going to fight without gear.
That's not possible. I don't think that's going to happen. Well, I think he's going to use really lightweight gear that barely enhances his abilities. And so it'll be kind of like he's fighting without gear. He'll be at a big, quote unquote disadvantage, but it'll let him be fast and move freely and stuff. You really think he's going to fight with no gear at all?
Yeah.
He wouldn't even qualify for the tournament, though.
Yeah, he would.
How?
It doesn't specify that you have to wear gear. You just have to box.
How do you know? I mean, the purpose of the tournament is to advertise for the woman's company, And her company is in the business of making these prosthetics, these augmentations.
That's hers, but I don't think that's a stipulation of the tournament.
Why wouldn't it be if that's the point of the tournament is to show off her gear? So everybody else is going to be wearing it because that's part of the sport.
But
everyone else.
What about all the other companies that make it?
Well,
she can't be the only one.
No.
It'd be unlikely.
That's what I'm saying. Like everybody's going to have gear. Everybody's going to be wearing.
My theory is that I really think he won't.
Okay, well, I don't even see how that could possibly happen. Maybe it'll like malfunction in his final fight in his rematch with Yuri. It'll just malfunction, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I'm just going to take this off, and I'm going to beat you anyway because I'm the main character."
I don't know. He beat 96 without it. I mean, he got a solid hit in with that prototype gear on, and then it shattered,
right.
And then he hit the last one all by himself.
Right. That really cool scene where the Potemkin throws that punch and he like ducks under it and his cheek is grazing. Yeah. It's cool. Look real nice. But then the shot directly afterwards of him punching was just a still image with like blood spraying out of the guy's nose. And it looked extremely, extremely awkward and clashed horribly with what had come before. But, Yeah. It's not my problem.
Nope.
It's not my episode to direct.
And it does not detract from my enjoyment.
Yeah, I like the show. It's good. It's a good show.
Good show.
Hopefully the kids don't get like too.
Kids are all right.
Hopefully they stay all right. They don't get too annoying, and hopefully all the fights continue to look good.
Yeah. Why don't we do Hisone to Maso-tan?
Hisone to Maso-tan. So this was my favorite. This was my favorite show.
Yes, it was.
It was episode 2. It just came out today. Thank you, Senshi.
Based Senshi.
Yeah, you said that last time.
Oh,
let that die.
Okay, I'll think of something new.
It was good. This is still my favorite.
Spoilers.
You didn't like it so much.
I'm a little better on it this time.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. I feel like the concept set a little bit more. I still don't like the main character, as you pointed out.
What don't you like about her?
She just voices everything, just externalizes all of her internal dialogue.
Yeah.
Rather than having like an internal conflict or struggle, she just says everything.
Well, she's still got an internal. She still struggles with things internally, like how to get closer to what's her face. The Gyaru looking character, Kaizaki, her roommate, the girl who was like the head D pilot before her, but the dragon wouldn't accept.
Right.
And so then Hisone is her first name, but everyone refers to her as Amakasu. So I don't know. I'm probably going to call her Hisone because that's the name of the title
of the show.
Yeah. I mean, Hisone just butts in and is like, okay, I'm the D pilot now. Look at me. I'm the D pilot now. So that's obviously, it feels bad for the girl whose position she took. And to make things worse, that girl, her mom was like a legendary pilot or something.
And probably died tragically.
Well, this is anime. There's a lot of absent parents and dead parents in an anime series. Just because it gets them out of the way so the kids can be the main characters.
Yep. And so that they can be stronger of heart.
Right. So they can be vulnerable, but in the end, overcome their crushing loneliness and crippling lack of guidance.
Date bayo.
What?
Believe it.
Okay. Yeah, I loved everything about this episode. I liked the montage of Kaizaki trying to like haze Hisone, but none of it was working. Because everything that she was doing, Hisone took as an act of kindness. That's how she interpreted it, because she's an airhead. I guess I didn't really care too much for the suit designing guy. His name started with an I think. I didn't write it down. I forget it. But, he was like...
Milan, darling. Milan.
Right. He was kind of like an Edna Mode type, I guess. It was just, it was Japan was doing that Japan thing where it's like hilarious when someone's a pervert. LOL. that guy's making inappropriate remarks. That's just terribly funny. But I liked all his suits. I liked when, the little bit where she was trying on all the different suits and they all look totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
In the end, she settles on the one that looks kind of appropriate, I guess, because it's green.
She picks one that's just
it's in a package.
Yeah, and it's like, you finished this new one, right? And he says, yeah, and just grabs it. She has no idea what it looks like.
Right. But it ends up. I mean, what do they wear in the Air Force? What color? Aren't their outfits green?
Green and gray.
Yeah, that's what they are in this show. There's the people who wear all green, and then the really weird Tetris-looking fatigues. Yeah, the brown, gray,
digital
black.
Camo.
Yeah, I really like the way that those outfits look, like the digital camo ones.
The way that they look in the show, because I think it looks gross.
Yeah, I like the way they look in the show because there's a specific technique that's being used there, I think, which is that it's not as though the uniform is being drawn and the digital camo moves as the characters move. The digital camo is like layered.
Yeah.
And so as the characters move through the environment.
You know why they're doing that?
Why?
Because it would be ridiculously challenging to make digital camouflage that's that detailed move. So they do it as inexpensively as possible, and it looks disgusting.
I like it because it reminds me of an older anime series, which was in 2004, I think. There was an adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo, and that's how all the characters' outfits worked.
It reminds me of how Sunday morning comic strips
it's called
look.
Gankutsuo. I just remembered the name.
It reminds me of how Sunday morning comics
Sunday morning, the whole point is that it works differently in motion than it does when it's still.
No, but in still, rather than the pattern being applied and circular around it, it's flat and drawn on top, which it wouldn't look like that if it was on a uniform.
No, it wouldn't, but you can't get into applying that stuff digitally because then you need like a 3D model in order to have something
I'm just
to
saying
apply
it doesn't look like it doesn't look realistic at all.
No, it doesn't.
No. And I hate that.
It fits the show because the show doesn't look realistic. The characters don't have noses.
I just think it looks gross. I think it looks gross.
Okay.
I have since episode 1 and I still do.
I like it.
And you're entitled to your own opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the most part, the show, regardless of your stance on that, you have to admit that the show looks really good.
Yeah, it does.
There are a lot of money shots in this. I know you're smirking over there, but that's literally what they're called.
Yeah, because it's really expensive.
Yeah, just because a lot of time and effort is put into those shots. Like the one where Kaizaki is like really upset at how Hisone had been trying to convince the dragon to taking pity on her and trying to convince the dragon to let her pilot. She's standing outside the hangar and she's like, screw you. I don't need your pity. That looked really nice. Like how animated her character was. The scene of the dragon coming down and swell. Yeah, it was way cooler looking than any similar scenes from the first episode because you really felt the dragon bearing down on Hisone in that moment. The stuff at the beginning with the dragon flying through the sky, the dragon coming down after Hisone had after Kaizaki had fled the air base.
Yeah.
And was she was injured. The dragon coming down to rescue her.
That looked really good.
The show just looks fantastic.
And the scenes where the dragon's transforming as well. That's not CG assisted.
Right. I did notice last episode you and I disagreed on whether the plane was CG. I did notice that it clearly was in this episode. So probably was in the last one too.
Yeah, they all are.
Yeah. But
which is fine. I mean, I understand, planes are intricately detailed and having to draw that many on screen at once I can't even imagine how long that would take.
Yeah. The dragon is just a head and then an eye and then a big long neck and then a weird body. So it's not too detailed. But when you factor in all the little attachments that it has,
the parts of an F-15,
then it becomes pretty remarkable that they are just doing it naturally, and that it looks so nice.
Yeah, well, that's Bones for you.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, so much seasonal anime just looks like trash. I can't imagine that they're so successful that they just have so much more money than everybody else. That's the reason their shows look like this. It must have to do with industry connections. like a deep roster of talent, being able to get newcomers and train them up and like keep them on board.
I don't know. I really don't.
It can't just be money.
They're doing 2 shows this season.
Yes,
right?
they are.
And they both look amazing.
Yeah, they do. Boku no Hero looks way better than most weekly shonen. Of course, it only gives us like, the pattern they seem to have settled into with that show is that they, for half a year, they do it, and then they take half a year off. Yeah. At least that's the way it was with season 2, because it was 2 core, so that'll take up half the year.
It is this time as well.
Right.
Season 1 was just 13.
Yeah. But that seems to be their pattern, and they'll probably go with that until they run up too close to the manga, like how much material there is to adapt.
Do you have any idea how long that would take?
No, I don't know anything about the My Hero Academia manga.
Just curious.
I mean, the big thing in Maso-tan, this week's episode of Maso-tan, though, was the relationship between Hisone and Kaizaki, and they get to be on pretty good terms by the end. When Hisone is like listening in on the message that she's being given at the end, and she's playing with those little planes on sticks.
Yeah.
And then Kaizaki comes out, and that's like something really childish and dorky. It's a perfect opportunity to make fun of her, the way that she had been, or trying to belittle her. But instead, she takes one of the
joins
planes.
In. Yeah.
So that's a nice moment, in that it's so severely different from how she'd been acting before, even when Hisone was being a complete goof and an idiot, like playing with little planes on sticks. They seem to have developed some kind of friendship, or like an understanding, which is nice.
Lucky.
You have anything else to say? I stopped talking so that you could say something, but instead you just said lucky.
You're a lot more keen on this show than I am. I like it more than I did the first episode. I think I just drew too many similarities to How to Train Your Dragon, and I have a fondness for that show. So,
oh, that's right. Yeah, you've seen the series.
There's a huge TV show.
Huge. A huge TV series. I didn't know that it was that big.
It's got.
I know the movie was real.
Netflix has ordered like 6 seasons.
Wow. Yeah. Is it so? It's on Netflix. That's where it airs.
It was on Nickelodeon at first.
Okay.
For 2 20-something episode seasons.
So Netflix poached it.
And Netflix.
They're trying to invade every market, so they want to get in the kids' market
Netflix
too.
Netflix poached DreamWorks, and DreamWorks Animation does the TV show.
Does Netflix own DreamWorks?
No, but they have a contract with them.
Oh, okay.
So anyways.
Yeah, just forget about How to Train Your Dragon, man. That's not anime, so it doesn't matter. I
really did this episode. I liked it more than I did the first one, for sure. And it's kind of charming. I'm starting to come around to it a little bit more. I don't like the fact that the main character is.
You said that already, that you don't like how.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more than that. Just how she's, so accepting of her circumstances, but questioning them at the same time.
She was doing nothing but questioning them in the first episode. She only came to that resolution, like, I'm gonna stick it out here and do my best, see what happens, at the very end of the
first episode.
Yeah. I mean, they got 12 episodes to work with.
Yeah, I guess there's something to be said for that. You can't have your character develop for too long, otherwise
you get Evangelion. Where
the character development never finishes.
Shinji never, like, he constantly wants to run away from NERV. I mean, do you want Hisone to Maso-tan to just be the girl cooped up in her room, listening to her music on her like cassette player, and just being like,
I think that's more realistic, though. People don't come to these like life-altering decisions in a day.
It wasn't a day in the first episode.
Oh, it was 2 days. Excuse me.
I don't think it was that short either. She was probably there for a while.
Shinji was there for what, like a year?
Who?
Shinji.
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't tell you the Eva timeline.
Months passed in Eva. We know that much for sure.
Yeah, well, it's a very different show. This show's like sunnier, It's more optimistic.
It's always sunny in
Hisone to Maso-tan land.
Yep. Also, the chosen Miko.
Yeah, I didn't understand what did that mean?
I don't know. She could read that thing in the dragon. He's like the chosen kite flyer to reassemble the dragon clans or something.
What is it? What does Miko mean?
I have no idea.
Okay, I don't know. What
just that was verbatim what the sub said.
Hey, you know what? Maybe if we go to Essenti's site, there will be like a translator's note.
Ooh, translator's notes. Those are my favorite.
Me too. Did I get the URL right?
I think so.
Here we go. Butt to the episode. Okay, yes. There was a fixation on Hisone's butt.
Yes.
When she got in that, because the guy
waist.
What
was it? 86 centimeters, I think.
Oh, sure.
Because she like just hugs her butt and it's just like, I know exactly how large this is now.
Yeah, you're talking about the
designer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she puts on that outfit and goes into the hangar to like talk to the dragon, you know,
it's just butt shot, bend over, 6 more butt shots.
Yeah, the guy
turns away in embarrassment. The mechanic.
Yeah, the mechanic guy. I was struggling to figure out how to describe him.
The eventual love interest.
He seems to be like the main male character, even though he's still not very prominent. And I think it's going to be mostly women in this show because in the ending theme, which I really loved, by the way, it sounded like a 60s pop tune.
I was writing my notes during all the ending themes, so I completely tuned them out.
You can see there's more girls in like flying suits. So I think there's more pilots are going to get introduced, maybe from other divisions of the self-defense force.
I think there are going to be more dragons because in the OP you see 4.
Yeah, well, I think there were four girls in the ED. There might have been 5. Okay, no, there's nothing about Miko or Miku, whatever it was.
That's okay.
Yeah, she's some sort of chosen one, you know, because the dragon gobbled her up right away, and she noticed that little. What was that thing on the roof of the dragon's mouth?
Tan. I don't know. An ulcer, or something something installed.
It looked like a little sticker or a button or
a stone. I don't know.
Yeah, but she noticed it, and she was able to
call on the dragon's true name.
Yeah, she's the chosen one, you know.
As everyone is in anime.
Yeah. So, I'm glad you like this one a little better.
Yeah.
Hopefully it continues to look as good as it does, and then you can enjoy it at least on that level, even if the digital camo just makes you rage.
It does. Well, that's, yeah. I have a lot of military friends, so I know what it's supposed to look like, and that's not it.
All right, Lupin is the last show then.
Yes, it is.
Lupin-san.
Lupin-toi.
Yeah. Part 5. It's the one set in France.
Yep.
Many happenings were undertaken
in these episodes.
Yes, there was a lot of violence. I was surprised by how much killing there was. You know, the scene where, in addition to the Lupin game, they also have like the list of all the assassins, and as they're being killed one by one
they're being X'd out on the...
Yeah, the little skull and crossbones is appearing next to them. Like in part 4, which just aired a few years ago, there was not nearly this much killing, maybe in like the entire season, as there was in these episodes. And it wasn't too gruesome or anything. But
no, most of it was off screen.
Yeah. But like, you remember when Goemon was fighting against the guy with the...
Like his hands have been cut off?
Yeah, he cut off he cut off that dude's hands. That's brutal.
Yeah.
He had the wire around his neck. The guy was like, "Oh, if I just tug on this, your head's gonna come off."
But how are you gonna do that? And his hands are on the ground.
Yeah, that's like in the original manga, Lupin was killing people and like being sexually violent with women, and he was like a serious, like a morally ambiguous rogue. And he, over time, he turned into more of a goofy, lovable thief, you know, who only steals things sometimes.
Right.
And like, he's kind of almost like a Robin.
On quirky adventures.
He's like more of a Robin Hood figure almost. But there was a lot of violence. And he says in the second episode, I think, when A.N.I.M.E is in the alleyway and those punks are like going after her, you know, those hoodlums. What does he say to one of the gang members?
It's something along the lines of, If you don't have the metal, to kill them, then don't start a fight.
No, I'm thinking of something else. Oh, no,
lines.
he says, I'm a thief, and sometimes that means stealing people's lives.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what? That's not the Lupin I remember from 2-3 years ago, whenever part 4 was airing. So I don't know how I felt about that change.
That feel when Lupin does Battle Royale better than Sword Art Online.
And that's not a high bar to clear. Sword Art Online is for children. Lupin is for adults such as myself. You got anything to say there?
What about how Lupin's for adults?
No, or this show?
No, I really like this show. It's enjoyable to watch. It's a good looking show.
It looks all right.
The first episode was really standout. The second episode, not as much.
Well, we're talking about the second and third episodes
right.
here. We probably do a better job of clarifying what we're talking about each time.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
But I mean, if you're keeping up with Spring 2018 anime, then you should already know how many episodes are out for every show.
I thought it was interesting that they knew that over time the Lupin game would just die down. That social.
If he posted videos of himself,
yeah, not just that, but that over time interest would dwindle because social trends last for how long? A couple of weeks.
No, it had 100 million users.
Yeah.
That is not something.
So did MySpace.
That's not something that's going to die down in a week or a month.
I don't know. Some new app comes out. Everyone's crazy about it. Like
it had 100 million users, dude.
Yeah, I bet you Flappy Bird did too. And then guess what? No one was talking about it 2 weeks later.
It's because it got removed from the App Store.
Yeah,
and it was also a bit of a joke. Like it was supposedly really difficult, and it was like a flash in the pan thing. And I mean, I think the idea is that people will get tired of it, and he kind of encourages that by posting videos of himself and being I'm just giving myself up. You guys don't have to be, so gung-ho about it.
It's not a game anymore if I'm the one who's revealing myself because I'm beating all of you.
That's the idea, is that, this Lupin game probably won't be a factor a couple episodes from now.
Right.
But I think it should, because it has a gigantic user base. It just doesn't make too much sense that it'll die off.
I don't know.
But it probably will.
It makes sense to me.
Also, A.N.I.M.E is like a master hacker, underworld criminal, super girl.
Genius, yeah.
Yeah. Why isn't she advising Lupin not to post pictures and videos of himself, which will probably have some sort of digital fingerprint that could lead people right to him?
Oh.
That doesn't make any sense either.
Maybe because she thinks what he's doing is the right idea. It's the right way to get the game to stop.
But it isn't. As was proven in these episodes.
There's also a dude flying a drone around following them everywhere.
Yeah. Who was that guy? Was he like one of the main dudes from episode 1?
Yeah.
The people who they stole from?
Yep.
I can't remember the name of their
I think it's the dude who looks like a goth chick.
The dude who looked like a goth chick.
Yeah.
No, we hardly saw... You mean the rocker, right? Like the musician?
Yeah.
We hardly saw that person in this episode. It was mostly the guy with the brown hair.
Right, but you don't see anyone piloting the drone. You don't see who the pilot is ever.
Yeah, I wonder if... I don't think that's going to be important.
Maybe it was... what's her name?
Fujiko?
Yeah.
Why would she do that? What would be in it for her?
I don't know.
Like the way she acts is always out of self-interest. She's always...
She wants to be the most popular on social media. She is always winning.
No, I don't think that's true. She needs to...
I'm just throwing out a theory. I don't have any concrete proof.
Okay.
Because we have no idea at this point.
I guess, yeah. I assumed it was just one of the guys who they stole the money from in the first episode.
That's most likely.
So he takes out like a million zillion dudes.
Yeah, 17.
Okay. And I kind of wondered, I haven't seen that much Lupin. I've only seen like a previous TV series and a couple movies and a special. But I kind of wondered if all the villains who they were fighting were from past, Lupin stories, the manga.
Maybe. There was the rat gang.
Yeah, I looked up the Flea. Do you remember the Flea, the little guy with the hoodie
Yeah.
You only see his eyes. I looked up, I Googled Lupin the Flea. Nothing came up. So
maybe they're all new.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm sure some of them were, callbacks.
I know they're mostly self-contained stories.
Yeah, although all 3 episodes so far of part 5, the one we're watching now, have been tied together. And from the next episode preview, it looks like the next one will be too.
I mean the series, not each individual episode.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just because they're all separate doesn't mean that they can't reference one another, like winking at the audience a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But in part 4, Lupin got married to a woman named Rebecca Rossellini, who's like a master thief.
Huh. She stole his heart,
I guess. And they're still married, but she hasn't shown up in part 5 so far. I'm wondering if she'll make an appearance, because if she does, that kind of establishes some continuity between part 4 and part 5. And there already is some, because it's the same art style and he's wearing the same colored jacket. He always wears a different colored jacket in the different TV series.
but this is the same.
Yeah, it's still blue. So there's probably, I wouldn't be too surprised if Rebecca showed up. I'm sure that's something you could Google and find out, like if her voice actress is involved in this new project. But I'm content to just
Watch and find out.
Yeah.
Good way to do it.
Instead of Rebecca, the new girl is A.N.I.M.E. And the show went, like, speaking of the show going darker and being more about
She was
Killing
abducted
it.
by child pornographers.
Yeah, and then they forced her to write code.
Otherwise, they beat her.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre. It doesn't really fit with what I know of Lupin.
Well, what you said originally, that it was really dark. That
Yeah.
he was like ambiguous. And
Yeah, but it was Lupin himself.
that doesn't. But Lupin is the main character, and he sets the tone for the whole show.
That's why I'm so confused about part 5, is because he's still like the new school Lupin who is.
Well, his new school style, just the way he looks.
No, but in his behavior as well.
His behavior to kill a bunch of people and be like, sometimes I have to steal people's lives. I don't know. That seems like they're going a little more for the darker tone.
I guess. But wouldn't you say the show is still like comical and there's a bunch of hijinks?
Yeah, but this show's still goofy.
Yeah,
But-
that's why the thing about her being like, abducted by child pornographers and just even all the tech stuff in general, like Lupin having that
The little
that eyepiece,
monocle.
yeah, the cyber monocle,
Yep.
Google monocle,
Google Glass. Hey, Google.
yeah, and her being like,
Send all of my information.
hello Andawaldo, and like
Hello,
it's like
Andawaldo.
Hey Siri, but
Yeah.
instead it connects you to the entire internet at your fingertips.
The
Ooh.
deep web.
That's a little weird. The show's stab at like technological relevance, a little strange.
Using a Tesla to jumpstart an Osprey.
I assume by that you mean using a car to jumpstart the helicopter thingy.
It's a Tesla P100.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell by looking at it. And that helicopter
I
is
think
an
they
Osprey.
said, because he's going to steal a car and one of them makes a remark like, that's not your style.
It's like, I didn't know that you cared about the environment. I could tell just by looking at it that it's a Tesla. So I
Yeah.
knew it was an electric car. When it said, we need electricity to jumpstart it, I was like, he's going to use the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice that you're able to connect with this show on that level, like, the vehicles and probably the weapons and
Yeah.
all that.
Got the pimp cane shotgun.
Right.
Those are real.
I'm sure they are. dude.
Absolutely real.
And now that we know that pistol knives are real, or knife pistols,
Yep.
and anything can be real, even anime.
You just gotta believe.
Oh yeah, Fujiko comes in at the end and points a gun at Lupin.
Yep. Says, I'll take that bounty for myself.
Yeah. There's going to be some kind of twist on that, I assume.
Of course. There has to be.
I mean, maybe she was the one piloting the drone so that she could eventually find him. Because she does say, it probably was her, because she does say to whoever's flying with her in the plane before she parachutes out, if there is a Lupin game, I'm number 1 in the world at it. Because she is always constantly bumping into him.
Right.
And the person piloting the drone was number 1.
Yep. Always number 1,
yeah.
like above everyone by a mile.
Oh, that kind of clicks. Maybe she was the one piloting the drone.
Sometimes my ideas aren't so crazy after all.
But if she was doing that, then she was leading all the assassins right to him because she was providing live video footage. So that would put his life at risk.
She knew he'd win.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense for her to be putting Lupin's life at risk.
I guess. I don't know.
But
well,
maybe she was.
The show is kind of silly.
Yeah, a whole bunch of it doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
That's okay because it's kind of fun. And then there's like some tension between Lupin and A.N.I.M.E, I guess. She just talks. Maybe maybe I shouldn't be saying that it's strange. Maybe it's like a result of her what happened to her. Yeah, or her isolation, but also how she was, treated as a kid. Her history of having been abducted and like taken photos of stuff. I don't know. So maybe she has a warped view of sex, but she does say to Lupin like, "Oh, I'm interested." Never had sex before.
And he's just like, what?
He doesn't quite know how to handle that. Yeah. And I didn't know how to handle it while I was watching it. I was like, this is a little strange. Just how frank she is about it.
Her character is strange though.
Yeah, she's
just the way she acts, and
she's a bit of a.
She feels like she's outlived her, because that was the end of episode 2 is the cliffhanger with her and Lupin on the beach, because she had essentially just like run away, being like, why are you still
our
hanging
transaction
out with me?
Yeah, our transaction's complete. There's no reason for us to be together anymore. His response is, I like saving the damsel in distress. Yeah. Essentially. Yeah. And that at least is consistent with what I know about him.
Very chivalrous.
Yeah. Cagliostro in particular, the late 70s Lupin movie. There was a reference to I think I probably said this last week, but there was a reference to Cagliostro in the first episode of part 5. Okay. And the way he's acting now with A.N.I.M.E reminds me a little bit of what he did for the main female character in Cagliostro. There was nothing about child porn though. That's a little bit too modern.
Yep.
Goemon cut off a guy's hands.
Yep. And cut open an airplane hangar with a sword.
Yeah.
And sliced a gun in half.
He's the best because he's Japanese.
Yep. And he's the only person who uses a sword, so therefore he must be the best at it.
All right. Are we finished?
I think so, unless there's anything else you wanted to bring up about our 6 amazing shows.
We could rank them.
That we can.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. I'll probably be tired of them in 3 weeks, but
that's why you're with everything.
Yeah. Sure am, I guess. What's number 5 for you?
Last place?
Yeah, last place.
Okay. Academia.
Okay, I put Academia as well. 4th.
Hisone.
Okay, I put Lupin.
All right.
3rd was Megalo Box for me.
Hinamatsuri.
Okay, 2nd was Hinamatsuri.
Lupin.
Okay, and I put Hisone to Maso-tan.
Megalo Box.
Okay. So what came in first place there?
Megalo Box.
That was with an average score of 2nd place. Is that first? Hinamatsuri was 2.5.
Yeah, I think so.
Hisone to Maso-tan also 2.5, I think.
Yeah, because it was 1-4.
Yeah. Where'd you put Lupin?
3 or 2. Excuse me.
Okay, so that would be third rank, which is 4th place, and then last place for Boku no Hero. I think with the shonen series, that's even though that show looks good on a weekly basis, and you might really like the characters. That kind of show is only going to have standout episodes every once in a while. It's never going to be a big story where every episode is a piece of the puzzle and it all moves together real nicely and you just appreciate the entire thing. So every episode's a standout.
Yeah.
If that whole rambling thought made any sense.
Yeah. I just started.
It's just going to be the big fights where you're like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Episode 11 of Frank's for You when it hit 2nd place in our week that time.
Oh my God.
And I've been rewatching Naruto for some reason.
Yeah. For some reason.
Yeah. Because I'm a pleb, obviously. And episode, I think, is 39.
That's so many.
It is a lot. Although, to be fair, you can skip about 6 or 7 minutes of every episode because there's so much recap just from week to week.
I'm sure once we get deeper into My Hero Academia,
The same thing will
season,
happen.
yeah, it'll start too.
But
Looking forward to that.
That whole episode of Naruto just looked... Stop talking about Naruto! Incredible.
Yeah, they do that for some of those series.
Yeah, it was... And that kind of makes the whole 38 episodes worth it. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
But, you can watch whatever the hell you want to watch. You like Naruto, you just go ahead and watch it.
It's a free country.
That's right.
I'm free to make my poor decisions.
Speaking of poor decisions, we'll be back next week with another anime podcast.
Yes, we will.
So listen to that if you feel like it.
Have fun and
be safe.
And watch good shows.
Bye, everyone.